Hello, it's 4:30. We'll start.
One second. I'll just be back.
Sure. Saloni, you will admit people, no?
Yes, sir.
Good. So let's start. Welcome everyone to this is the first reading we're doing in the under the aegis of the India Study Center Trust School of Language and Literature. This is a school that was started on the 1st of January this year under the India Study Center Trust. So we have an elder sister school in the School of Archaeology. The trust undertakes a lot of public education programs in various fields, in science, in archaeology, in culture, in literature, in linguistics, in epigraphy, and various related fields. So when I was offered the position of the director, I had a few rosy-eyed plans, and this is one of those that has actually bloomed. So this is my first reading, and those of you who know me, I am an Orthodox atheist. So I thought if I'm going to select an occasion, what's an occasion that's universal to everybody and particular to nobody? And then I figured there are 6 days on which the planet goes around the sun, where it achieves certain milestones. And we thought, well, let's keep those. So the first of the readings is going to happen on the June solstice. It's the we usually know it as the summer solstice, but in the southern hemisphere, it's the winter solstice. It's the longest day here. Those of you who are fond of World War II movies know that that's a big the Normandy landing movie. It's some of my favorite movie stars in it. So I chose the longest day to start this. And today is a day of change. Today the sun has reached the northernmost it is ever going to travel. And today it turns back and goes south. So I thought the motif was change. And if the earth and the sun keep changing, then why shouldn't we all be changing? Okay. I am not going to read out your bios. Your bios are shared in the group. I'll share them again. So the more time we keep for poetry, the better it is for everyone. At institution, we tend not to stand on ceremony. There are no lamps lit or no ribbons cut. We just throw you into the deep end of the pool. Now, one thing to decide is the order in which we will go. Do we need to keep an alphabetic order? Do we do it by some other thing? Or should I just pick people at random and ask them to read?
Whatever you find convenient, Ramesh. And will it be just one round of 10 minutes or are you doing 2 rounds of 5 minutes each?
I think we can do 2 rounds, no? Then that will give you a little time to catch your breath.
Yes. That's great.
So, we'll start with Mallika. I like that expression when you're surprised and thrown under the bus.
Yeah, I was just like sitting back thinking, okay, I'm going to listen and suddenly my name. Okay, am I audible?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you to the InstaCent Trust. I am, unlike many of you here, I am just an amateur poet and I write just for my own pleasure. And I haven't published my poetry or anything like that. So do excuse the level a difference between what you expect and what you might find. I am a writer. I write a lot about trees, and many of my poems are about trees and changing seasons and so on. So the first one that I'm going to read is not about trees, but about the change, climate change and change in the natural world. It was written many years ago when I was traveling to, I did a trek in the Garhwal Himalayas, and this was written on my way back from Rishikesh to Delhi, the emotions that I experienced about the trek and the thoughts about it. So that's just the background. Okay, it's called the Garhwal Himalayas. I trudged along behind them, unable to walk anymore. I groaned and grumbled as I went along. My legs felt terribly sore. Up in the Garhwal Himalayas, about 13,000 feet high, I wasn't enjoying this journey much. If I said I did, it would be a lie. But every cheerful passerby became inspiration to go on. Every dhaba serving hot chai, a much needed recharge coupon. It became difficult to breathe up there as oxygen levels sharply fell. Knowing of the nausea the heights bring, I was certain of being unwell. The cold entered my skin that night, well past the thick 5 layers I wore. Yet when I awoke the next morning, every discomfort I was able to ignore. Snow-capped mountains all around me, above them only clear blue sky, bright sun, wildflowers, mountain deer, and the sound of the Bhagirathi babbling by. And as these sights held me captive, before me the mighty Gomukh glacier did appear. I was lost to the earth below me. Heavens, they must indeed be here. I know not much about God and his ways. Yet, if he must exist and choose a place to reside, it must be here in these magical mountains where one's soul and nature so joyously abide. As I closed my eyes to soak it all in, I am overpowered by an emotion so intense, words are just not enough to describe this overwhelming experience. The cold, it does not bother me any longer. In fact, there's snow followed by rains as we descend from the lofty mountains along the river towards the plains. It's a unique, inexplicable feeling, this absolute oneness with all around. I now follow what saints mean when they say, you must lose yourself in order to be found. But the glacier, they say, is melting alarmingly fast, receding by several meters a year. Even for this colossal creature of nature, the end might be frightfully near. I promise myself to do all I can to keep such an end at bay, for beauty so pristine and water so pure, for our children and theirs must stay. The Himalayas, they've taught me a thing or two of my needlessly consumptive lifestyle. The futility of this urban chaos that surrounds me, I realize is just not worth the while. So while I search for my answer on how I must from my mindless ways refrain, a strong impelling urge inside me wants only to go back to the mountains again. So that was about change, both climate change happening externally and the change inside me about how I must change my lifestyle because of what I had learned and experienced during this trip.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Wonderful, Mallika.
Thank you. You said we'll have two slots of 5 minutes. So I have another poem which is very, very short, which is only going to take a few minutes, but I could read it in the next slot since we're doing it in 2 cycles.
Ramesh?
Yeah.
I think Mallika has a question. You should take it.
No, not a question. I was saying I had, since you said we'll do it in a cycle of 2, I can do the next poem after, some of the others read, because it's a very short poem. It's going to take less than a minute to read. It's about rain and this change of seasons. But since we're doing it in a cycle, we can have some others read and then I can come back. Yeah. Thank you.
So Paresh, you will read next.
Sure. It's dangerous to speak up here. Huh?
What?
Because you're
right. Yeah. Okay, so 5 minutes. I think I'll read 2 sort of short poems. I'll primarily be reading Haiban as I am known to do. And these 2 are from my latest book, Now a Poem, Now a Forest. Thus, the first one is called Black Hole Sans Metaphor. I'll read the poem and let you decide how and if it fits with the themes of change. So this one is titled Black Hole Sans Metaphor. The cover page of my poetry notebook is an event horizon. The cover page of my poetry notebook is an event horizon. It draws me in one abandoned poem at a time, slowly sucking the marrow of my pen. My fingers don't hold. Engulfed into the pages curving upon themselves, words burn out in a blaze, feeding on ink clots, on verbs masquerading as nouns, swallowing the breath that fuels them. Time swirls around in waves, an infinite Ouroboros. All my life I've held poems to be on my tongue, carefully straightening out their creases, tasting their salt. Now I weigh their light in shades of red. Sangria is the color of a haiku I wrote and scratched out last night. It smolders along with the cormorants and terns, settled over an enjambed third line. There's so much to recognize here. There's so much I recognize here. Things that I know intimately by touch, sight, taste, sound, smell, all hurtling towards the singularity with me. That's Black Hole Sans Metaphor.
Nice.
The next one is called, thank you. The next one is called The Anatomy of Violence. The Anatomy of Violence. I unlatch the door and step inside to the heavy wag of a black tail. I stroke the now rough hair of the old dog, take an ear in my hand, fold it over, and run my fingers across his muzzle. He closes his eyes and leans into my hand. I can feel the weight of his head as I hold it up so I can blow over his damp nose. I can feel the weight of his head as I hold it up so I can blow over his damp nose, all part of the dance we taught each other long ago. There's a pistol in the pocket of my coat. I pull it out and raise it to the dog's long brow, now peppered with the gray of time, and place it between his sad eyes. The dog is impervious to the terror of cold steel. He continues to wag his tail, thump, thump, thump. Protests the taste of blood in my mouth. Protests the taste of blood in my mouth.
Very poignant, very poignant.
Thank you.
Very
Those
hard
were my,
hitting. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you so much.
That was a little deep.
Was this a
Thank you.
reference to Simba?
All my poems are a reference to either Simba or Atal, or somebody else I know. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. That was terrifying.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Preeti ma'am, would you like to go next?
Sure, sorry. I was unable to mute for a second. Okay, so I'll read three short ones. The first is called Pandora's Box. Unlike Pandora's box, I now open plastic bags, half aware of what I might let loose. Memories that bring tears of joy, followed by regrets at what could have been done differently or what I failed to do. Then these gaining a life of their own. Images shared instantly by a click of a button, or maybe two. And then a flood that connects across time and miles that have separated us. The plastic bag, now closed and resealed, with its contents intact, leaving an unforeseen trail of conversations, feelings, and possibilities much beyond the imagined. The second one is called Me. There is no corner of the mind where I can thoughts of myself find. As each day goes rushing by, my heart heaves a deeper sigh. While on my face there is a smile that lingers really all the while, though its meaning changes through the day, defined by what I cannot say. And even as I write this rhyme, I sense its rhythm is not mine. What then is the me in me? Is what I always fail to see. Actions and memories constantly blend every day without an end, till I give up thinking and traverse on, only to encounter another dawn. That brings the question to the fore that I couldn't resolve the day before. And the only thing I wish to define is which corner of my mind is really mine. The final one I will read in this round is called Our Worlds. Your world quickly changes into mine as your longing glances at the comfort of my air-conditioned travel are replaced by my jealousy that your bus at least keeps on moving. Your world quickly changes into mine as you see me rushing through the gates into the sweatshop I call my office, while I grudge you your flexibility and the fact that you are the master of your own time. Your world quickly changes into mine as you look longingly at the car I travel in, while I envy you the speed of your bike and the closeness which you share with your co-passenger as I listen to the radio to preclude arguments. Your world quickly changes into mine as you try to imagine the exotic ambience and food of the restaurant I visit, while from its windows, I remember those days when I too shared street food, a cup of tea, and the gay laughter it brought. Your world quickly changes into mine as you envy me my freedom and liberal thoughts, while I envy you your blind faith that gives you the flexibility to leave all in the hands of an unknown God. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
I loved all of them, but the second one is really, really lovely. I liked it the most.
Thank you so much.
Snehith?
Yeah, hi. You can hear me?
Yep.
So, hi, I'm Snehith Kumbla. I have been writing poems for a couple of decades, but I recently published on Amazon Kindle my first collection, Fragments and Other Poems. So, I'll be reading a couple of poems, short poems here. First one is called New Day. I'll be reading the Hindi version first. जो भी है धुआं धुआं सा भरा भरा सा मन में, जो भी है धुआं धुआं सा भरा भरा सा दिल में, रिहा कर दो रात में के एक नया मोड़ नजर आता है. The English translation: whatever is heavy, full to the brim, let it out fugitive like into the night, that a new road curves before me. So that was the first one. And this is the second. It's titled Still. The cuckoo still sings over the traffic smoke. Children still carve forts by the sea. Gulmohars still bloom over the widening road. You could still stir early, jog through frozen silences, travel for an hour, still bathe under a waterfall, walk up a ruined hill fort, watch the falling of meteors. You could still save yourself here in this decay and filth. You could dig a hole and still plot a shade out of it, feed it like a little child, and make a tree out of it. So these are the 2 poems I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Thanks.
Anjali, are you on?
Yes, I'm here, Ramesh. Thank you, Ramesh. I'll read 2 poems for now. The first one has an epigraph, which is a line from Sant Muktabai. But this time I'd like to read the epigraph at the end of the poem. This poem is called Tamarind Seeds. 12 tamarind seeds put away in an old tin box between the copper vessels and an iron trunk whose key can never be found. Mother had played when she was little and taught me when I was 6 to sit on the floor, fling them up on the ground, toss one up, and pick the others before it fell down. Invent words and songs, conjure worlds and wands that set things right. Lazy summer afternoons, a soft muslin sari, the sweet smell of grandmother's lap. The girl in a stained petticoat, grazed shins from the rough barks of the neem and the gulmohar that spread a filigreed pandal overhead. At her feet, a carpet of stippled crimson, petals and chrome neem seeds. Her treasure of tamarind seeds, the gleam of cat's eye, jasper, topaz, and quartz in itself, enough for her dowry and her trousseau. Girls become women, and tin boxes with tamarind seeds get stowed on the loft where the sun cannot reach. Sometimes you can throw a seed at the sky and will it the power to hide the sun. Mungi udali akashi, tine girile suryashi. The ant flew to the sky and she swallowed the sun. Sant Muktabai. The second poem I'd like to read is about relationships. It is called There Are No Shadows in the Dark. Together we watch the evening unbutton the clouds and touch the velvet of the sky, and the night envelopes us in her kindness as she dims the stars to a lambent light. You put out your hand and pluck them one by one, the ones you promised to fill in the parting of my hair. We shut out the kettle drums from where ignorance to power is being wed, and then again we slip into the warmth of the night to find the space that lies between being and non-being, a Hobson's choice. And we must swim in this sequence, both real and not real, because the night has chosen to hold us tight against the dawn and shield our eyes from the shadows that the day will cast. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Those are such evocative poems.
Yeah. very
Lovely to listen
interesting.
to, Anjali.
Yeah, the
Lovely to
Muktabai
listen to.
lines at the end were really beautiful too. The lovely touch to the poem.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
So shall I call upon Sarabjeet now?
Hi, Ramesh, and hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been listening to everyone. The only reason I'm not able to type today is because I'm using my phone. There's some problem with my laptop. So I want to take this opportunity to say that I've enjoyed listening to each one of you. Paresh, Anjali, of course, I know you both. I don't know the others, but I've enjoyed listening to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarab.
I'll read some poems from my new manuscript, which is titled All We Have. Most of them have been published here and there. Some are unpublished. So, and I also have some translations, which I'll read maybe in the second round. I'll start with a poem titled Return. A woman carrying a diya in a glass and iron case from her kitchen to the riverside samadhi of her patron, a scholar who left no books behind, doesn't want to imagine what roads death takes. All she wants this moment is to shield the wick light from the evening's erratic breath. The stone temple on the far bank sways to the melody of a bhajan. The deity seems to have vanished. Someone who couldn't stay indoors, who is now close to leaning over the water's edge to wash away the day's contaminants, spots a firefly across the river. A drop of varnish on black fabric, and senses the missing approaching. The next one is titled View. The body is the food that came closest. Whatever is in the mirror never objects to being nearer than it appears. Yet, no view rears the perfect image. No closet has room enough for the seer who never claims to be all the good that chose to be known as you. Well, a poet friend once asked me what kinds of poets you like. It's a very difficult question to answer, but maybe I've been fortunate to have the company of people who practiced meditation and who I can call seekers. Some of them I've not met for maybe more than 15, 17 years, but I'm still in touch with them. So they always speak of lakshan, which is signs. So those are signs of spiritual persons, but maybe I've attempted to articulate the signs with which I tend to identify poets. Signs. The poets I love bend a little before passing through even the tallest door. Pause a moment before uttering even the softest word. Turn back once more before taking leave of even a stranger. Cup their palms as if collecting first light through the roof of a cave. Smile to themselves as if singing a lullaby to inhabitants of childhood stories. Nod to the dark as if to companions beginning another journey to the moon. Close their eyes as if sliding down the skin of a hot air balloon. Thank you very much.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Very philosophical.
So beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. Love the line. The poets I love bend down a little. Gorgeous.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Rochelle?
Wow, this is quite a beautiful session. And Ramesh, I think you have gathered us here in this glade because it is the longest day, huh? So, and only poetry can help with the time. But I'm so glad to be here amid friends. And when I was thinking about solstice, I was of course reading about it, the sun being at the highest or the lowest point in the sky. Then, when I was thinking about my poems, I was wondering what are those poems which come with me. They travel with me through the highest and the lowest points of my life to become classical. So there are some poems which I don't resonate with anymore, whether it's other people's poetry or my own, and there are some that travel through time. So I picked some poems thinking about the zenith and the nadir, just like I'm following the trajectory of the sun. So this one poem definitely is very classical for me. I think it will never go out of fashion for me. It's very classical of the footprint of my life. It's called Timely. It's an old poem, but it's always new for me. Don't pick a wilted flower. Even graves are dressed in fresh ones. Heart beating petals over dead bones. And you ask me to wait? Have you seen a rose? Red ripe, raw like wine. Does it wait its turn in the bouquet? Its time and place is the morning, when from the blessings of a stem it oozes nectar, life juices, strumming from its veins. After that, a bookmark in the pages, memory aromas in translucent perfume bottles. Don't ask a rose to wait. There is no time in its petals, only the saga of one sunrise and one sundown.
Wonderful.
Thank you, thank you. And the second poem, again, I thought of Nadir, because if the philosophical poem is Zenith, it's Nadir. I'm just following the sun today. And the poem that comes to me is not a personal poem, but it's a poem of the world. It comes to me from the world, and I want to give it back to the world. It's also featuring in my third book of poetry, which is due out in 2024. Surrender. And because
Rochelle, we aren't being able to hear you.
The
okay,
audio is a bit off.
yeah. Am I better now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Surrender. If I were a country, you would be a journalist. And because you are not an empty headed bloke out for a quick fix, but investigative, committed, idealist, I would have shot you down the street and left you to bleed. If I were a country and you my journalist, it would be a civil war, one too many, revolutions, changes in governments. I would have jailed you and kept you on CCTV. If I were a country and you my journalist, I would have played a wait and watch game to see who wears the other, sleep deprived, akin to a Russian sleep experiment. But the more you stare, the more beautiful someone becomes, remember? Many passed, the cellars of my mind, few the cellars of my heart. I would blink first. I would give in from dictatorship to democracy. If I were a country and you my journalist, I would let you run a free press and media to change the face of an entire nation. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Wow. Wow.
This is one of my top 10 favorite poems forever and ever. So I'm happy you read this out.
Much needed for our times. Very nice.
Yeah. And the first one was very interesting.
Mm.
So, Madhu,
Yeah, hi. Can you see me? Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity, Ramesh, and lovely meeting friends. And here are three small poems. So there are many things I would want to change as a society, personally, but maybe don't send me OTPs. So here's a poem, OTP. And also, yeah, so I mean, the war here is a metaphor for everything. It could be a Ukraine war, it could be the war of our lives if you think life is a war. Yeah. OTP. They send me an OTP for everything. Every time I log in to my bank or order hypoallergenic baby diapers or assorted colors of briefs. I don't remember getting an OTP for war. I did not authorize this purchase. I'm not a great fan of skyscrapers. I would like that to change if somebody can change. See, poets have big dreams. You can't help that. Like F the skyscrapers. I don't like it. Skyscrapers. Why do aerial drone photos of megacities look like rusted pointy nails? Why do aerial drone photos of megacities look like rusty pointed nails? Someone should have them removed. People may step on it by mistake, get infected with make-believe jobs. People may get hurt on the way to their dreams. Yeah. Well, so there's this maybe last poem for now, and then maybe if we have time, that's okay. I would like to make time for everyone. So artist is something that's been a poem that's still relevant and one of my poems. And I really think that is a change I would like to see, artists getting more funds and, I mean, so here is a poem, and maybe think artists are essential. Artist, I don't mind being the non-essential. Even a child takes its mother for granted. It does not run back to its mother until it is hurt. Nobody first thinks of water when they arrive at an exquisite dinner party until they are choking. I don't mind being the non-essential, knowing you will come looking when things are broken and nothing else works. Art is non-essential. Art is non-essential until it is not. Thank you. Thanks.
Nice one.
Superb.
Thank you so much, Madhu.
Fabulous, Madhu. Fabulous.
Very
Lovely.
nice. Madhu. Lovely.
I would disagree with you on asking water at a dinner party because that's the first thing I ask for. Trust a diabetic, they need water all the time.
You must be the only one, Ramesh.
Well, I'm the only one for a lot of things anyway.
You're the only Adi Purush who asks for water.
Yeah. So I think Shobhana is not yet read, no?
No, I haven't. Yeah. Can I go?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ramesh, for having me here. It's been fabulous listening to old friends and some people I haven't met, Snehith and Mallika. I haven't met you both, but it was lovely listening to both of you. So I'm going to read two poems for the first round, one short and one is a little longer. First is Karma. For months, the Amaltas tree outside home rid itself of all leaves. Its branches assumed skeletal proportions, like an old man preparing to die. A day before the spring solstice, yellow burst on its tender frame, and now every branch hangs heavy with leaf and blossom like a woman in sudden love.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
Thank you so much. Thank you. The second one is called Equations. I work in the social work sector, and one of the things that I think all of us understand is when you say change, the people who suffer the most change are the poor. So this one is called Equations. A luxury multi-axle sleeper bus lumbers on the city roads. Roads made for commuters of a different kind. Behind it, a point-to-point express is in relentless pursuit of getting to the destination on time. Every minute counts to be counted an express service bus. An impeccably uniformed in white chauffeur of an ultra-luxury sedan honks to make roadizens aware of the royalty within. A taxi driver is impatient, willing the high decibels of the horn to get the 5-member family to their morning train. Alongside, two-wheelers, many with 3 people, try to navigate the mire. Gig operators pedal faster than the clock will have them. Breakfasts cannot really wait. A bullock cart carrying water plods along, somewhere between it all. The signal turns red. An ambulance sirens from somewhere behind. A homeless man shifts position on the pavement. The two-wheelers shuffle and almost run into him. A couple of auto rickshaws follow in tow. The cart driver whips the bulls and reins them to a stop. The taxi keeps at the horn. The luxury sedan is stuck. The express is behind. The multi-axle bus has no place to budge. The ambulance continues to blare its siren. The green light comes on. The siren goes off, lost to the tiredness of this waiting. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Beautiful. It's so visual. You could see it before your eyes.
Thank you.
Just speechless, honestly. No one? So let's start round 2 then in the same order.
Would you not be reading, Ramesh?
No.
Ramesh, you should be, I believe.
You should read, Ramesh.
Ramesh, please read.
After round 2.
You must read.
You must. It's definitely you should do.
Now you can't refuse, Ramesh.
Huh?
Now you can't refuse. Vihan has made his presence felt.
Yes, I'll read after round 2.
Okay. But you'll have to remind us of the sequence. I don't know who came before or after.
Oh, okay. I guess doesn't matter so much.
Yeah, well.
Then you go first, Anjali.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I was planning to read another poem, but I heard Shobhana reading Amaltas, and in fact, I have a poem called Amaltas, so I thought I'd give an echo. So I'll read that as my second poem. Before that, because we are talking about change, I've born and lived in Bombay for all these years, and I have seen Bombay change. Nevertheless, there was one factor which always impressed me a lot, which was the way the migrants, as we call them migrants, in fact, we ourselves are migrants here. This was not originally a city inhabited by us, but the way the draw that still exists to what they call their muluk. So for certain migrants, the muluk happens to be Konkan, and this poem is about that. The poem is called Lal Mati. It's called Lal Mati because especially South Konkan is full of laterite rock and soil. Here goes. From the dark wooden staircase worn down under 5 generations of footfall, from BDD chawls at Teen Batti, Sat Rasta, Kala Chowki, Lalbagh and Shivdi, to the ST bus depots at Bombay Central, Parel and Dadar, running extra services during April, September and October, come eager, happy families, kids, Aji and Atya, with brass boxes full of laddus and rexine bags with zippers that do not work, carrying little gifts of children's clothes and plastic toys that will put stars in the eyes of nieces and nephews. Go ST buses loaded with bodies aching for rest, for quiet, and for the tight embrace of brothers that stayed behind or went back defeated by the city. Kin they must necessarily invite to every family function. If they don't feed them on the 13th day, who else is there when they themselves pass? So this was one. And Shobhana, this one for you called Amaltas. The chief tapped all night against the window, like telegram codes being sent across cities, warning of troop movements, insurgent activities, deaths and births in the family, or the impending arrival of mother-in-law. Why are there 2 suns in the sky today? Them that hold power draw lines on a map, and villages give up their lands. The earth in the courtyard is wet with her footprints as she came out, fresh from the bath, and filled the room with the fragrance of shikekai and arita. Why was no one brave enough to dive into the creek to retrieve what the mobs had thrown in any case, once covered with sludge? One body is as good as another. Fish it out, give it a decent burial or cremation, else the birds wait anyway. The Amalta still loads herself with extravagant profusions hanging like yellow grapes on a vine. Remember how a part of you died when you said there is nothing you can do about it, and another when you chose to look and walk away. The wars that rage without a battlefield now pervade the air like acrid incense, and sacred fires choke the throat. You wait for critical mass and wonder if you will explode, but then there is nothing left of you that's alive, and fission is no longer possible. Sorry to end on this rather somber note, but
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Anjali. That was just fabulous.
thank you, thank you.
I love the way you slipped in the reference to the mother-in-law.
I know, that was so cool.
Yeah. Snehith, shall we have you next?
Yeah, I'll go a couple of poems. one is, I think I'll finish within 5 minutes. This one is called Once in a While. Once in a while go hither, where man hasn't choked earth to tar. Once in a while go thither, where flowers sway golden, buds ajar. Once in a while ponder, trees helicoptering a stray twirling shape. Once in a while dash out, away from gloomy computer haze. Once in a while stroll aimless down a narrow, dark, mysterious lane. Once in a while gazing skyward, the kite's whirlpooling games. Once in a while go hither, where frost chose a less traveled path. Once in a while go thither, where you desire but hesitate in heart. Once in a while on a calm night, when you go cascading on a dream. Once in a while when years have withered you to skeletal bane. All your once in a whiles shall gather, beehive heavy and clean. Once again you shall step out, awash in roaring wondrous sheen. So this is basically telling about stepping out outdoors. I mean, especially during COVID. I think it was first time in human history when humans stayed for that long indoors, and it had various repercussions. You know, people were very hesitant to step out outdoors and stuff. So this poem was in reaction of that. And second one is actually it's the English one, but I think I'll rather read the Hindi version. It's a series called Letters. So basically Khat. So this one is a short one. रात ने खत लिखा सवेरे को, लौट आना मेरे अंत के अंधेरे में. रात ने खत लिखा सवेरे को, लौट आना मेरे अंत के अंधेरे में. रंग बिखराना एक समयांतर मौत का. फिर शाम को मैं दोबारा खत लिखूंगा, दो दोस्तों की मिलने की जगह लिखूंगा. I think I won't read the English version. That's it. I'll end on this note. Thank you.
I love the Hindi version. I think you could make it a little longer.
Yeah. But right now it seems short and sweet and perfect. But probably I'll make it.
No, but that's entirely your call, right?
Sure. Thanks.
Right. So, Shobhana, you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah. This one's called Botox. In Kannan's corner shop, everything is broken, even the ceiling. Through the light of day and into the night, he bends over, fixing, mending, repairing, seaming, hemming, tinkering, soldering all the brokenness that housewives bring him. Sometimes they become good as new. There are the repeat offenders who arrive every few months in need of new washers, handles, motors, and what have you. He mends them all. But today, when Shalini brings him her mixer of 20 years, he looks over the familiar piece for a long time and finally tells her, it's too broken. And it's like Anjali said, I've always noticed that in a reading of poets, there's somewhere we all arrive at a synergy. And when Madhu was reading his bit on skyscrapers, I too had one. So I've just pulled it out and I'm just going to read it from my computer. This is called Cartesian Coordinates. Madam, how do I find your house? It's the penthouse atop the tallest building on the road. You'll find it all right. You have GPS anyway. Tell him about the mango tree, Ma urges, and how we built our home around her roots. The black and white tiles we specially had made and how every move turned into a memory. Tell him stories of the kitchen from where aromas beckoned guests and sometimes gods in disguise. The unflattering mirror that showed us how well we lived despite the lows. Don't forget the women's room, where we traded freedom for 3 days of solitude, and how you arrived like an errant monsoon one cloudy afternoon. Remember the well, whose waters quenched a deeper thirst. Tell him, when he knows all this, the house will call out to him. Thank you. Thank you all for listening.
This is very lovely,
Oh,
very,
this
very
is
lovely.
fabulous.
Thank you.
I follow
So
that.
let's, Rochelle?
Wow, Shobhana. You mesmerize me enough to forget what I'm going to speak.
So,
So,
you're always so kind to me.
Thank you. So from Nadir, again, from the tone and point of Nadir, this poem is an old poem, but it's still resonant and new because of the war within, which has ended a long time ago, but the war without still doesn't end. The world still burns, and the poem will always be a classical to me, hence. This poem called Rage. I have rage inside me that I thought was because of my parents who fought like dogs. Dogs are always irrational or divine. They drew out a room and crayoned a window, outside which I stood. I could do nothing, and it boiled in me, waiting to explode at the right heat and destiny. I was angry, but anger is irrationality, and helplessness the first step towards self-pity. So the lava in me disguised, like Mehesaba's pristine waters, into the woman of acceptable traditions and marriageable ages. Others fought. Israel and Palestine, North and South Korea, Northwest Pakistan, Myanmar, Somalia, Nigeria, Mexico, Egypt. The USA shot Afghanistan and Iraq at crucifixion joints. Sri Lanka burned from the middle like paper. Tibet, tow. Syria was raped. Russia abducted Crimea. Every parent fought, and anger arose in every offspring. The well-kept waters broke their mirage and submerged villages of repose. And here I thought, if you ran away from your parents, it would be a peaceful place elsewhere. Thank you. And this other poem, now I move from Nadir to Zenith because that's exactly how we go. The only thing that can destroy war is love. And it's the summer, and a woman's body is in blossom. So, lava. The body detonates long before it does. Like motherhood happens when you think of child, and love when you yearn before the lover crosses the crosshair of sight. My body is bending at its curves, molten in a smelting ring, each cell detonating where you last touched them. Old cells, as they go, are telling new ones of the way you will touch me in rough love. Seeking old diary pages of a new broken song, a stanza forever eluding the tune, elongating, overlapped. My body is receiving her swell. She's awakening in 1,000 breaths. All are letters, scent-kissed. Just the mere thought of you is a thunder trapped in my solar plexus. States of privilege are the states of being loved. Immigration is home. Your body is my home. Your lips, my envelope. Letters are teeth, the messages of souls. My body is awakening like a river under rain. torrid, the woman awakening in the woman in the jungle. After this comes Amazon, Athena, Venus. My body is molting to the magma of breath, the silence that holds the worlds of our longing.
Splendid.
Thank you.
The second one was beautiful.
Thank you, Vihan.
Very lovely. I loved the first one more, honestly, but both were beautiful.
Thank you so very much.
You're always like, you're like my, how do you call that? Governing angel. Whenever I need poetic succor, I can always turn to you.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. You made this long day very long, Ramesh.
Yeah.
So, Madhu, will you go next?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a joy to follow Rochelle, but yeah, because
We've been doing that for a long time, isn't it?
I have been doing that for a long time. So I'll keep it short as usual. And another change I would like is for people to buy more poetry books. So here goes a poem, Daydreaming. The initial lines are by Kenneth Rexroth, who's an American poet. And I've had it with these cheap sons of bitches who claim they love poetry but never buy a book. The beginning of the month, salary is credited. What's budgeted is budgeted. The groceries, school fees, Netflix and cosmetics, rents, electricity and house help. Governments are phlebotomists. Governments are phlebotomists who gently puncture veins, draw taxes. Give us a barbed wire country, roads and rigs. Talk a little about nuclear war and army. Tell us it is for our own safety. Save some contingency for postcards and poets. Write to a stranger, stick a love stamp, and post it. Poets have no countries, veins, or salaries. They wait for your postcards and their daydreams as you buy their books and read their poems in barter. So another one is something I always think, like when I think of arts, I do think of, the poets, a lot of poets who have died of hunger, all these sad stories, Jivananda Das in Calcutta to anywhere you can look at. Why does art go hungry? In the story of the ants and the grasshopper, we tell our children to learn from the ants, to fall in line, to follow, to pick a useful trade. We want them not to be like the grasshopper who sings and plays the fiddle all summer. We teach them gathering wealth is hard work and making music is not. And then we wonder, why does art die of hunger? Thank you.
Beautiful, Madhu. Beautiful.
Lovely.
Wow, Madhu, wow.
Paresh, shall I save you for the last?
You can do whatever you want to me. And don't please take this in another wise manner.
Okay. So, Dr. Shirodkar, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. So I'll read 3 short ones like earlier. The first one is You and Her. Every wave reminds me of you and her. Your quiet longing for the sea and the sounds of the water as you sat gazing at it quietly for hours. You said it brought you peace, the rhythm and the regularity of the waves and stretches of sand. For her, the opposite, as she squeals in delight with every wave that comes rushing, unable to gauge its depth and power. every shout different and louder than the one before. Then rushing to the shore to build castles, scattering colorful toys that break the monotony of the sand. Others may see in you opposites, but all I find is the sameness as I breathe in the air and look longingly at the sea and sands that carry on being themselves, unaware of my presence and what they mean to me. The second one I'm reading is called Forfeiture. A part of me lost again. With my lost phone, the contacts gone. The photographs clicked to capture moments and serve later to clarify memories when time casts its haze on them, now lost forever. The light banter that I exchanged with my loved ones, which brought a smile, even if I would open them accidentally, now wiped out without a trace. Like this, I have lost myself, bit by bit, sometimes through unasked questions, at others, through actions that remain unexplained. People lost through deaths, or those who wander away without offering a reason. Thoughts that are lost in the disturbed sleep that follows dreams, or those I'm too busy to pursue. Lost jobs, lost things, lost opportunities. I often wonder what I have gained after all that I have lost in life. And the final one I will read is called You. You are the missed beat of my life's clock, the tear in my life's emotional highs, the warmth in my feelings' winters, the cool breeze in life's turbulent summers, the meaning in songs, the peace that makes nature a sought-after companion, the value of a well-scripted book, the memory that lingers beyond the passing moment. Thank you very much.
Very lovely, Preeti.
Thank you so much, Mallika.
Lovely.
I like short poems. They seem to condense all the anger or the love or the emotion of the poets into a much smaller packet, so that it just explodes at you when it hits you. And then you take your
Thanks,
time.
Ramesh. I think that's because I teach for
That's why
3
you like
hours.
haiku.
So somewhere I need to be brief, I guess.
That is
Right.
why Ramesh loves haikus also.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Sarabjeet, shall we have you next?
Sure, why not? As you say. So this poem was written a few days ago. Maybe it was written for the solstice. So Ramesh, this one is for you.
Thank you.
Mirage. Feet craving paths fringed with grass. You set out on a day when nothing could be taken away from you. All the true ones you knew left the same note. May you pause to redo the past so the present is never spent. Everything falling on the way is more than happenstance. Each moment a mirror to vanish into. You don't want all of it. No. The smallest shard in this emptiness should be enough. Bliss remains as distant as the cool that aircon companies promise in adverts flush with deep snow. I'll read 2 translations. These poems are by Sapna Bhatt, and I discovered her while reading a batch of new books of poems in Hindi. And I really like the effortlessness that she's brought to her poetry. And it's rare to find this kind of voice in Hindi. This poem is titled A Letter of Gratitude. This morning is like a flower, bright like a child's guileless smile. On a morning like this, place a kind letter of gratitude quietly on the table of God, who is quite busy these days. Do it bearing in mind that in this heartless world, in these peculiar times, a woman loves you wildly in silence. The next one is titled Rendezvous. Again, this is by Sapna Bhatt, translated by me. Even to say I want to see you, despite your reluctance, is a matter of grave dismay. Love expressed in the language of persuasion hardly remains love. To meet is anyway a snooty phrase that's fallen out with my fate. To what distances does the earth tied to its axis extend? All said and done, sitting with two similar persons on this earth is so difficult. If you ever meet me, do so on the transverse line of my convulsing soul, beyond the gawky geometry of my body. If you ever untangle yourself from the chaos of this worldliness, meet me in the infinite empty space between our hearts. Listen, my love. Don't recoil from your own shadow. Meet me under the cover of countless dark flowers that your shadow made to bloom in my body. If you can't meet me in this birth, then meet me in the lost manuscripts of my half-baked poems after I'm gone. That's it. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
What's the name of the poet you said?
Sapna Bhatt.
Sapna Bhatt. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
A fabulous job of translation.
Is she a living poet?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, cool. Then
I
I'm
think
going to ask.
she lives somewhere in the mountains. Yeah.
No, because I'm going to ask you to come to ask her for a reading sometime.
Certainly. I don't know her, but we can get in touch with her. Yeah.
Sure.
Must be very difficult to retain the essence in translation, the rhythm and the meaning and everything. Really well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, Mallika, you're next.
Sure. Okay. So I wasn't going to read this one because I thought it's not really about change. But after Shobhana and I don't know who else read a poem about the laburnum, I thought I should also, I looked for it and brought it out. And then it is also on the theme of change somewhat, because it is the first tree that made me look at trees in new light. After which I started writing a lot about trees and have a YouTube channel about trees and so on. So it was a turning point in that sense. So, sorry. Yeah, so the poem is called O Laburnum. How blessed I am to behold that resplendent beauty bathing in gold. She adorns and lights up my street, a spectacular, joyous summer street. Cascade-like her petals tumble down. Lantern-like is her bejeweled crown. The other trees, they must want to hide, overshadowed by this gorgeous bride. O laburnum, you put a smile on my face. You are unmatched in grace. You arrest my frenzied pace. O laburnum, you compel me to stop and gaze. I cannot but extol and praise. To you, this humble toast I raise. So, I'm sorry? Was I audible?
Yeah, sure.
That was lovely.
Yes, yes, you are
Okay.
audible.
Lovely,
Okay,
Mallika.
okay. Thank you. And then this short one about two short ones actually. One is, since Ramesh began saying, talking about atheism, this was a change for many people. Experience a change from, they grow up as believers, and then suddenly there is a moment, there is a switch in our head, and we start questioning ideas that we grew up with. So this was that moment of change. It's called Elemental. What more life-giving than fresh air? What purer than sunshine? What springs forth life like the soil? What more than water? What be divine? I've seen them search in churches and temples. I suspect they search in vain. For not surprisingly, the form you take, O Lord, is the simple and the plain. They look for you in books and prayers. They try to find you in the words of the wise. In meaningless rituals, gems and beads, they search for you with hungry eyes. I know not much, I must confess, but I have felt the presence of thine in sunshine, water, air, and soil. What can possibly be more divine? And the last short one, which is about change, which is what I originally went to read and not the other two. It's a very short one about a season we're all waiting for. We're all waiting for the rains. And the first rains, we've all experienced how lovely it smells. The sweet smell, the sweet fragrance fills the night air as the earth below me, parched and dry, rejoices in its rekindled love affair with the daughter of the sky. I rejoice in the first raindrops as well, and in the fresh fragrance of the earth. How simple, how sublime this simple joy, I cannot tell, that heralds a new season's birth. So that was about the change that comes with the coming of the rain. Thank you.
Beautiful.
That was really lovely.
Very
And I really
lovely.
loved your atheism poem. Thank you so much.
Lovely,
Thank you.
lovely.
So, Commander Tiwari, my best friend.
Right, Ramesh. I hope I'm not closing because you're still reading, right? You're following up on your promise. Okay, great. So I'll finish with two poems. One is slightly longish, which I usually don't do. I don't write long poems, but here it is for what it is worth. This one is titled The Etymology of Quiet. There's a quiet as mother cracks dry roasted peanuts between her thumb and index finger. The oblong nut aglow in her palm. It takes time for her lips to curl in an O, time to blow the husk off. I'm 4 years of breathless anticipation, a little damp finger eager to dart over the mound of rock salt. The train tears through the night with the urgency of a switchblade. When the iron wheels rumble over Ganga, echoing through the hollowness of the iron overpass, I toss a coin into the night. There's a quiet as I offer a bargain to the river goddess. I'm 8 years worth of hope and thrill, waiting for a brand new red bicycle. The men with ropes and a pass saw prowl around the tree, slip a noose over its branches. 971 birds take off in a flash of ear-splitting cacophony when the saw comes to life. I'm dizzy under the weight of quiet. Out tumbles from the hollow of its trunk 12 years of loss stashed away in a biscuit tin. They call it mountain spruce, the scent you wear on your neck and wrists, a daub on the curve of your waist. All your past lovers written timidly on your skin like fiction. When I kiss your left breast, the quiet of the moonrise floods my mouth. 22 is the age from which we drink tonight. How do things sidle up to one another? Matchbox houses press-fitted poorly to the mountains. Slate-colored clouds soaking up the twilight. Your year-old finger sliding into the spaces between mine, holding the quiet weight of my 30 years, each tentative step the length of affection. The untimely rain hiccups, sputters, and breathes its last even before the puddles begin to form. Raindrops clinging to the windshield meander over an unseen trail aching to dissolve back into the bosom of the clouds above. I'm 41 as the cigarette burns itself out. Thank you. And I'll follow up with the last poem and this one, Rochelle, in answer to your poem. This one is titled Cartography. At 13, she understands how rivers are born. Spends the night clutching a bedsheet between her legs. When the fertile clay of a body breaks open, an ill-fitting bra is thrust her way. Spends weeks praying the breasts would go away. A continent sprawling over a stretch of unbroken ocean claimed by many, she knows she has to learn about borders and boundaries. There's a peace treaty on the cut of her hair. Follow the mountain ridge of shoulder blades. An armistice over the length of her skirt. Cover the forest growing out of your ankles. A ceasefire over the neckline of her blouse. The school bag will soldier your bosom on bus rides. The shape of a claim changes with time. And sometimes she moans the surrender of her voice. At 16, she learns to travel. Her fingers walk for miles over the unfamiliar trails of her own body. Spends the night strangling a strain of desire. Thank you. That's all from me, Ramesh.
Splendid.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
See, I knew what I was saying when I said I'll keep you for last.
Thank you, everyone.
So good. Thank you. This was a really fabulous session.
No, we are not having any of that, Ramesh. You need to close.
I didn't say I'm not going to read. I am.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay. Well, between the 9 of you, I kind of feel like an imposter. Because, well.
Come on, Ramesh.
Come
on. Just read.
But yeah, I'll read. So I will actually read a poem about being an imposter. To give you a little bit of context, this was written when I was first had the chance to go and see Bombay Castle. It's a nice little fortified place inside the naval dockyard. And, people usually don't have access to it. But this is one of 2 times that I was actually able to go there. And a very long time ago, it was the home of a person known as Garcha, who was a Jewish person living during the time of the Catholic Inquisition. So this is written for him. It's called Two Interlopers. You and I, Brother Garcia, imposters in a strange town. Under your breath, your own faith, undermine my alien tongue. Overt the accoutrements, politically correct. The cross, the rosary, Hail Marys loudly proclaimed, and the keeping of Lent. The accent, the cuss words, and the careful conversion of names to initials? Did you surreptitiously push away the unscaled fish, like I am careful to eat my idli podi alone? Did you ask forgiveness for omitting your kippa, as I used to do the days I wiped clean my vibhuti? Did you cringe and not show it when they said Inquisition, the way I would shiver when the Sainiks stormed the streets? 4 centuries between us, yet how time stands still, so still. Thank you.
Very nice, Ramesh.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Very necessary poem in our times.
True.
Thank you. So anyone has anything to say?
A very big thank you, Ramesh, for inviting us and organizing this beautiful, beautiful poetry reading today. It's been a great evening.
Thank you so much. It was my honor that I all 9 of you have accepted. You know, I have not had a single no from anyone. So I'm really honored that you took my word and you came.
Who can say no to you, Ramesh?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Who
Exactly.
can say no to you, Ramesh?
Yeah.
I'm wondering why.
This is bordering on fishing.
Yeah, I'm a permanent fisher. So, Vihan, would you like to say something?
Yeah. So, can I read one of my poems that I made?
Absolutely.
You should.
Okay. So,
turn on your camera.
Okay.
Right. Nice.
So, this is called The Ode to the Sunbird. Oh, the sunbird, the Asian hummingbird. He may look so tiny, but he is mighty. He comes from an egg. He has small legs. He cannot fly backward, but he goes forward. He looks for flowers and he has power. He can fly very fast and goes really vast. In search of food, he doesn't get into a feud. His kind is found in Africa, but he is from Asia. He lives a happy life with a nice wife. But after 22 years, he is not there.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Really lovely.
Rather tragic end.
Why is he not there, Vihan?
It's their lifespan.
Lifespan.
22 years.
Okay.
Good one, Bihan. Good one. Keep writing.
Thank you.
Birds so beautifully, and it's very nice that you are observing sunbird and you've written this in such detail. It's wonderful. Keep observing birds around you.
Thank you.
Dr. Karnik was here. I think she's moved on. Otherwise, so I guess I will have to give the vote of thanks, which is just a formal end to this. But yeah, a very big thank you to all of you, because this is the first time we tried it at InstaSend. And so we have a mixture of, people who are seasoned within the InstaSend ecosystem, Mallika and Dr. Shirodkar, and others who are seasoned by my presence in their lives. And some people like Rochelle who've straddled both these universes. But yeah, this is the first time I've organized a reading. I'm really happy it ended the way it did. I would dance for joy were it not for my downstairs neighbor. If I crashed through the ceiling, it would be a big repair. So otherwise, I'm absolutely overjoyed with the poems that were read and the and at least they were all read very, in nothing felt like a Pratik Kuhad experience. You have to keep training your ear to see what he's saying. So that was one big positive for me. And apart from that, I hope we can see these poems somewhere. I'm sure they're all published. So in the group, please do share your books, and I'm sure some of us would like to buy them. And also, finally, a very big thanks to the audience. Usually in one of our programs, it starts with a 2-digit figure, and by the end of the program, it has come down to the high 1 digits, and we're kind of really hoping that I'm not the last one still on the group. So I'm very grateful that we're still in 2 digits at the end of the program. So thank you everyone who listened in. And we'll be back on the 6th of July with our next reading, which will celebrate another occasion of the Earth coming closest to the sun in its annual chakkar. So that reading is going to be called Perihelion Poems. I'm still setting it up, but please watch out for the announcements. Thank you, everyone. And what's left of the longest day, please enjoy it as you like.
You too, Ramesh. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Ramesh.
Ramesh.
Thank you,
Thank
for
you,
everything.
everyone. It's lovely
Thank
reading
you
you.
so much.
Thank you very much, Ramesh. It was just, thank you all. It was just lovely listening to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very
Absolutely.
much, Ramesh. It was a delightful, beautiful,
Yeah.
delicious evening. It doesn't seem like the longest day anymore now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.